This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. One of the topics I've been addressing a lot lately is January 6th and the measures that are being taken right now to try to evade justice and consequence by the perpetrators of the insurrection. And the House Select Committee investigating the events of January 6th has a Herculean task ahead of it to investigate, in order that they write legislation to prevent it from happening again, to buttress the security infrastructure of the Capitol, to keep its workers and its members safe, to keep the general public safe when they visit the people's house. And I have been also very critical, I believe justifiably so, of both the Justice Department with Merrick Garland and their inaction in the face of rebels who are attempting to not only overthrow our government, an attempted coup, an insurrection, overturning of a free and fair election, but to change the very, very makeup of our country. I've been critical of the Select Committee, that they're a little too much requesting voluntary testimony and not just coming straight out of the gate with seriousness, issuing their subpoenas to compel testimony, demanding that which they are owed, which is an explanation. Well, it looks like the committee, maybe they're watching my videos. I am not arrogant enough to think that is the case. But the pressure that the public is putting on them, I believe, is starting to work. And if you've called after one of my videos to your congressperson, then you are part of what is moving the needle here. I'm going to read from this Politico article. January 6th committee prepares legal arsenal for likely subpoena fights. The panel is devising plans to pressure hostile witnesses and Trump's allies to spill their secrets. Because again, Trump allies don't want the truth to be known. The allies of Donald Trump and Donald Trump himself do not want any documentation to be revealed to the public because they will very likely be indicted, using the term loosely and not legally. There will be a public indictment of them because we will see with our own eyes their complicity. Reading from this article, the House committee investigating Donald Trump's role in the January 6th assault on the Capitol is quietly devising plans to pressure hostile witnesses to spill their secrets. The select panel's leaders are preparing a narrow set of legal and tactical options as they brace for Trump's allies to invoke a wide range of constitutional protections to avoid testifying, from claiming executive privilege to invoking their constitutional rights to avoid self-incrimination. Whether it's coaxing reluctant witnesses with offers of immunity or bludgeoning them with criminal contempt of Congress, lawmakers say they'll be ready for whatever obstacles witnesses throw their way. The goal? Prevent lengthy court battles that could derail the January 6th investigation, the way Trump stymied House and Senate investigators for his entire term. Now, the difference with when Donald Trump was president, it was that he actually did possess executive privilege. Although he never actually invoked it. They just danced around it. Witnesses would say, I talked to the president and I'm not comfortable speaking publicly about my direct conversations with the president. And Democrats, to their fault, were too afraid or didn't have what it took to pressure the issue and take it to court, to force testimony, to enforce their legal subpoena power. They didn't do so. I don't know why. We have the full panoply of sanctions available for people who refuse to comply with a congressional subpoena, said Representative Jamie Raskin, a Democrat of Maryland, one of the January 6th committee's 9 members. We want the truth to come out, not just about the foot soldiers, but about the generals, too. The January 6th panel signals it's impatient last week when it skipped the usual haggling over voluntary invitations to testify Instead of slapping former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, longtime Trump aide Dan Scavino, and former advisor Steve Bannon, and National Security Advisor Kash Patel with subpoenas, only one of the witnesses would comment in public, Patel, who complained about the process. Now, that, I believe, was a good move. You skip the invitation and the rolling out the red carpet and asking them to voluntarily testify. We know we have enough history with these individuals, these characters, to know that they are not going to comply willingly. They need to be compelled. They need to have a legal, there needs to be a stick involved, not a carrot. Based on interviews with 7 lawmakers on the January 6th committee, here are the options the committee is poised to pressure should these witnesses and others decide to fight back. Now, they list, like I said, several options here. Some are loosening on executive privilege from Biden. There's only 2 that I want to talk about here. One is the civil and criminal contempt, and the other is inherent contempt of Congress. I'm going to read from this article, and I really would encourage you, if you have a lawmaker who is on the fence, if you have a lawmaker who's on the select committee, absolutely make contact and let them know that this isn't just basic partisanship. This isn't the party politics of old, because everybody on this committee, including the Republicans, want to get to the truth. When I scream and rant and when I get pissed off about their inaction, it's not because I believe their hearts aren't in the right place. I believe there's too much fairness and charity, if you will, given to the Trump side, especially after the last 4 or 5 years that we've witnessed. We know how they act. We know how they believe. We know what they've done. And to offer them a voluntary option to come in and testify only wastes time. It is fairness and charity that is just trampled upon by the person it is offered to. Compel the testimony. First, right up front. Anyway, let's talk about this first option, civil and criminal contempt. Representative Adam Schiff, Democrat of California, previewed the possibility of holding resistant witness in contempt last week, emphasizing that while Congress's citations often went ignored during the Trump presidency, the Biden Justice Department is less likely to stand in the way. It seems to be the first step the January 6th committee will take if any Trump allies defy subpoenas. Asked about the possibility of contempt proceedings, Representative Elaine Luria, Democrat of Virginia, told reporters that the committee had discussed all the actions and we will wait to see how people respond and then decide what the appropriate action is after that. This is a little bit of the same old. We'll see what they do, then we'll react. How about being proactive? How about that? How about we know what the likely outcome is going to be of a request. How about you go in with all guns blazing to get to the truth? Metaphorically speaking, of course. The other way is something called inherent contempt, which is a little used, especially over in modern times, power of the Congress, which is something I advocated for the use of during the Trump administration. Perhaps the least likely option in the committee's toolbox is inherent contempt. Congress's unilateral authority to fine or even jail recalcitrant witnesses. Though there's little dispute Congress has this authority, it has languished in disuse for a century. And in recent congressional probes, despite howls from some Democratic factions to dust it off, House Counsel Doug Letter has made clear this option simply would not be feasible, both practically and politically. Again, more needless hand-wringing from Democrats who need to wield their power. Quit apologizing for having a mandate from the people. Quit apologizing and treating likely criminals insurrectionists, individuals who very likely tried to overthrow the United States government. I'm dancing around it because I don't want to have to use the word allegedly constantly, but that's where we are. And why would, if you have the power, you have the authority under the United States Constitution as a co-equal branch of government, why would you say that it's not feasible both practically and politically? One, I don't give a shit about what's politically feasible. We're attempting to save our country. These people attempted to overthrow the government. And you want to talk about what's politically feasible? How about holding criminals accountable? Use your power, Congress. Schiff has noted that attempting to wield inherent contempt might still wind up before federal courts, bogging down the process for months and undermining the decision to deploy it in the first place. These are the same excuses that were given for not compelling John Bolton to testify in the impeachment trial. These are the same arguments that were given during both impeachment proceedings. And where did it get us? Nowhere. They got us nowhere. But that hasn't stopped lawmakers from musing about the possibility. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer asked Tuesday about the prospect of inherent contempt, said the process, quote, is on the table and will remain on the table. Raskin confirmed that the committee hasn't ruled it out. There's a growing appetite for using Congress's own contempt powers, he said. Look, Jamie Raskin is no dummy. Jamie Raskin is a constitutional professor, scholar. So he knows well the power that Congress has relative to inherent contempt, and they need to use it. Back during Watergate, there was a man named G. Gordon Liddy who spent years in federal prison for contempt of Congress. Why are we not going down that route? You're not going to talk? Fine. Contempt of Congress. Inherent contempt, a power of the Congress. Not just civil and criminal contempt that would be used by partnering with the Justice Department. Also a good option. We're fighting for the soul of our nation. We are fighting for the future of our country. Playing nice is over. We need to use the same ferocity in response to a violent attempted overthrow of the government. Stop with the namby-pamby request. Please come and testify. What are we doing? What do you think, though? Am I too aggressive? I'd love to know what you think. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I appreciate all your messages. I get, they have ticked up since I started playing voicemail videos, responses to voicemails. I get hundreds of calls a day, dozens and dozens and dozens of emails. But that's good. It's all part of moving the conversation forward. I appreciate your participation very much as we together mold and decide what this show is going to be in the future. Follow me on social media. I'd love to connect with you there. I'm at Dollemore everywhere, just about everywhere, at Dollemore. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'd love to see you there. I'm also doing YouTube Shorts, so you can thumb your way through short little videos that kind of condense what I do here on a daily basis. If I bring you value, and only if I bring you value, please consider supporting my work here on the platform. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for as little as $2 a month, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, not just for the podcast, also help produce the videos here. Anyway, I love you guys. I will see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.